I finally did it, and I'm super stoked about it. This is a Superclamp for a 2014 KTM 1290 Superduke R. The Gen 1 Superclamp is finally here. And I know this is social media where we're all supposed to put our best look forward. I don't really have a best look these days, so I'm just going to give you the honest story about how this got here, because it's pretty damn entertaining. I'm Gogo for Superduked.com, and let's talk about the Gen 1 Superclamp. So here it is. This is the Superclamp for the Gen 1 Superduke, KTM's 1290 Superduke R 2014. There's only two in the world. One's right here, the other one's in my kitchen. So I'm super proud of this, but I have to admit to you that the path to getting here, it wasn't perfectly planned out. Let's just say nothing in my life is ever really perfectly planned out. In this case, too many months ago, I put a word out to the world. If 20 people sign up to make a Superclamp for the two models that I don't have yet, the Gen 1 and the Gen 2, I'll make them. 20 people. So 12 people signed up. And I think that was kind of a big deal. I didn't realize it at the time, but after the orders started coming in, I felt like, whoa, someone just paid me $1,200 for something that doesn't exist yet. That's a huge amount of trust. So I was super honored about that. I felt moved. That's why, even though I didn't get 20, just got 12, I said, I'm doing this. I don't care what it costs. I'm going to do this. And I did. And the Gen 2 Superclamps, which were very unique design, nothing like the 3 and the 4, they already shipped, I don't know, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, something like that. The Gen 1 is, again, very unique and very different. And only 2 of the 12 people that ordered that initial offering, only 2 wanted the Gen 1. So here I am, still honored and still proud, now facing, this is going to cost me money. But I was so stoked about it that I just did it anyway, right? And what I learned on the journey of creating the Gen 1 Superclamp is that the frame is totally different on the Gen 1 versus the Gen 2. It's shorter, it's narrower, it takes a different bearing, it takes a different steering stem, therefore it takes a different insert. I had to make all of these things, right? Just for the Gen 1. Which stinks for me, but it's great for you, because can I pause for a minute and share? There's something that when I'm going to sleep at night, when I wake up in the morning, when I'm just daydreaming about motorcycles and riding, I always default to this one section of Laguna Seca where you go through this rainy turn, downhill bank turn, and you get to the final apex. It's like a late apex. And as you get to that late apex, the banking of this turn goes away. It flattens out. It actually kind of feels like it goes to negative off camber. And this is where motorcycles, like chassis, geometry, it falls apart. When the turn is banked, right, and you're kind of G'ing out as you go through this turn, your chassis, is compressed. And we've talked about this in the past. When the forks are compressed, you get less trail, right? When they start to extend, you get more trail. Your chassis attitude changes as you ride, as you generate force, as your bike reacts to force, about the track being different, going up hills, going down hills. All these things change your bike all the time. Your bike's always changing. And when you go through rainy turn, and when you get to this bottom where the bank goes away, your chassis kind of opens up. It gets to breathe, and your geometry changes. And believe it or not, some bikes crash there right at the bottom. I actually know 2 people that have crashed there. One guy ended his career because I believe what happens is both bikes bottomed out. They just bottomed out. So why did a bike bottom out? They say, maybe there's a bump there. I don't know. I didn't notice a bump there, but there must have been a bump there. Something, the bodywork touched the pavement, took the weight off the tires, and the bike just went outside, tumbling, right? It wasn't a bump. There's no bump there. What I believe happens is when that banking has your chassis all set up and you're able to turn and everything's wonderful and you have your trajectory set, when the track goes away, when that banking goes away, your chassis changes. You're losing your ability to turn in that certain way in the trajectory, and you had everything lined up. So now you have to adjust, okay? So you have to, unfortunately, you lose the ability to turn. So now you have to lean more. And as they lean more, right at that bottom apex, they bottom out and go. I never bottomed out. Why did I never bottom out? Not only did I not bottom out, that's my favorite part of the track. Going at the end of rainy turn, when the track goes away and you kind of go wide a little bit, you're so hard on the gas that I'm amazed actually that I could be that hard on the gas and the bike stays turning. This is why it stays turning, right? This is one of the reasons why it stays turning. Also anti-squat, which has to do with links, but this is a big piece of why the bike still turns. And you go through that left, and then you bring the bike all the way to the left side of the track, and then you dive into the next right, which is another wild turn with its banking. That section of sweeping down this left, maintaining the ability to turn through the exit, and then swinging around to the left, and then diving into the right, it's the most beautiful experience. I want to go to Laguna again and just do that turn over and over and again. It's beautiful. I think about it all the time. When I'm working, slamming the hammer, bang, bang. My mind, I'm at Laguna, and I'm going through that turn. That's what gets me through the day. So, this is what makes things like this really special to me, and why I pushed through to get this made, even though there's only 2 people on Earth. Gino and Ruben, who the most patient people in the world, really, because I made this promise like last winter. It's almost a year. That's too long. I mean, they waited patiently, and here it is. I had to make this bracket special because, of course, the headlight is different on that one, right? I had to make these special brackets for the headlight for the Gen 1. Underneath, there's these special bolts. I had to make the bolts because it's a large bolt, so I didn't want to have this heavy bolt up there. So I actually made them out of 70-75 aluminum and even hollowed them out, right? So there's very little weight for these brackets. I had to make the steering stem. And if you take a close look around, this is a lathe, and this is a failed attempt at a steering stem. Solid stock, 70-75, right? Garbage. Let's see. Here's another one. Garbage. Here's 2. These look really good, right? I almost got there. Garbage. Reject. Garbage. So close. So close. You know how much this was off? 0.01 of a millimeter. The reason that you have to be so careful about this, the reason why all these are junk is because there's a tolerance. This is on all Superclamps, right? This is a tapered roller bearing, OEM from KTM, for a Gen 1 Superclamp, for a Gen 1 OEM triple clamp. Like this is the same, I use the same bearing. And it has to slide over the steering stem. It's the same bearing bottom to top. Has to slide, if you look, here is the area where the top bearing sits. Here is the area where the bottom bearing sits. So you have to slide the top bearing over this area and then get it down here. And I pressed it on with the press over there. So the top tolerance, you have to be able to pass the bearing past it and then press it on here. So it has to be able to pass, but it still has to be tight. If that bearing is loose, bonk, 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 like this, then, you know, the top of the triple clamp is going to be loose. The bike will be kind of unstable. We're talking about a microscopic level. I'm a carpenter, okay? I deal in 16ths of an inch. Is like, it's about as close as you really need to get because it's wood. It grew in a tree. If it doesn't really fit that perfect, especially framing, you just hit it harder with the hammer, right? I build a lot of things. I build beautiful things. I build things that last for a long time. It's great, right? But 16th of an inch, maybe a 16th heavy, which is a 32nd, right? That's about as close as I need to get. This steering stem in here, what makes these steering stems failures is 0.01 of a millimeter. If on this lathe I miss this tolerance by 0.01 of a millimeter, it's garbage. This steering stem is garbage. Do you know how many 0.01s of a millimeter there are in 1/16th of an inch? So there's the Eric who's a carpenter, and then there's the Eric who's making these things. There's 158 0.01s of a millimeter in 1/16th of an inch. You know how much 1/16th of an inch is? I know a lot of people are worldwide using the metric system, but here in America, they tried the metric system when I was in school, and people were like, what? So they just abandoned it, right? We go inches still. It's like ridiculous. But that's why my tape measure says 16th. It's not that much. 16th of an inch is like, maybe it's 2 widths of your fingernail. If you could put 2 of them together, that's about a 16th. Unless you have like toe fungus, then maybe it's 1 fingernail. Anyway, it's not a lot. 16th is not a lot. 158 in that. So these steering stems are ball breakers. And they're done. And I have 2 of them done. And I'm shipping them today. And I want to say to everybody who bought a Superclamp, everybody, Gen 3, Gen 4, Gen 2, Gen 1, see all these in the garbage? There are 75 steering stems that I've thrown out. 75. I could show you the box. They're all our rejects for the Gen 3 or the Gen 4 or the Gen 2. I could have shipped them. And nobody would know the difference. Because a 0.01 of a millimeter, a 0.02 of a millimeter, that's going to be instability. Like, oh, there'll be this play. It's microscopic. Nobody would ever feel it. I've raced bikes, okay, where the steering stem, the triple clamp, the top triple, wasn't even tight. And you could take the bars and go donk, 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 donk. I raced the bike like that. I came in second place, lost the championship, but it's not like, oh my God, the bike went off the road. It's not like that. My bike was crazy loose. People that were in my crew, they were embarrassed that they left things loose and ashamed and horrified. And Jerry Piazza, the suspension dude, he's the one who discovered. He put the wheel against something, I forget, it was like a trailer tire or something, and he just bonk, bonk, bonk. He looked at me, he's like, how did you ride this motorcycle? I just watched you. How was this the bike you were riding out there? So the point is, 0.01, nobody would feel. But I wouldn't ship them. I wouldn't ship them. Fuck that. I know it's not right. It's like a test. When I was in school and I got an 80 on a test, 80 was great, right? Because it meant I wasn't in trouble. I didn't have to go up the front of the class and be like, hey, I just was smooth. Right? Nobody knew it was there. The teacher, I wasn't a blip on her radar. Everything's fine. 80. Great. Right? You can't get an 80. When you're making parts to sell all over the world, you can't get an 80. You can't get a 90. You can't even get a 95. It's got to be 100. If it's not 100, you failed. And I fail sometimes. I make mistakes. I have made mistakes. I sent the wrong parts or maybe missed the tolerance. Send a new one. My customers are more important. I have more respect for my customers than I do for myself, which is probably dysfunctional from a business standpoint. But I don't know. Am I really doing this for money? I'm certainly not doing this for money. It's the love of motorcycling and motorcycle people and sharing the experience of like the rainy turn at Laguna Seca. I know you might not be racing, but it's the same thing on the street. When you're riding on the street and you're sweeping through turns, this joy that you feel when the bike does what you want it to do, when it does what you know it can do. Sometimes they just won't do it though. And you're like, what is wrong here? I'm GoGo for Superduked.com. Why am I getting emotional? I'm getting emotional because it means a lot to me. There you go. Enjoy your Superclamp. Much love.